started in this Thai school, got my TEFL certificate, and then I couldn't handle 50 kids. It was a lot of energy, and I started looking for other jobs. And luckily, so in Phuket, you've got different tiers of schools, right? And you have these smaller schools that say they're international schools. They hired me with my TEFL course, and they're basically selling this, and it's very common in Thailand. They're selling the international school, but they're hiring TEFL teachers. I think part of my personality is I like to do things well, so I tried my best to provide an education. Then I applied to Kajongkiat International School, and in some stroke of luck, literally the day after I applied, they phoned me for an interview.
Welcome to the Fruiting Body Podcast with your host, Brendan. We are here in Phuket, Thailand. We have an absolute legend of a guest making his first appearance on the podcast today. It is Alex Wilson. Now, this video is for all you folks out there looking to make that transformation. Are you working in a job that maybe you don't exactly love? Now, Alex has that story to tell. He transformed from the perfect job in Phuket, Thailand that everybody dreams about and moving more into a passion project. He's going to explain that whole process, what kind of went into that to make those decisions, and what steps did he take exactly to execute that. And we'll jump into exactly what he's doing today in Phuket. So without further ado, Alex Wilson.
Hey, man.
Hey.
That was a good intro. Yeah. Well done.
You know what? It's fueled by coffee.
Yeah.
It's fueled by coffee. It's kind of like, have you ever seen that? Do you ever seen the movie Old School?
Yeah.
Where like Will Ferrell like does that big speech at the end and he just comes out of it. That's what that is. Okay. Obviously, I know you quite well, as probably most of the followers do as well, that are all 8 of them watching this right now. We're not live. First, can you just let us know a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what brought you to Thailand?
Sure, man. Okay, so I'm originally from the UK, but I spent most of my life growing up in different countries. So parents traveling a lot for work. And I lived all over the world, man. I lived in South Africa, Gaza, a little bit of France. Man. And I ended up in South Africa, finishing off my studies, going to university in Cape Town, and then moved to Thailand because I think I had a breakup at that time. I was like, fuck it, let me leave, let me try something new. And I came here with no plans, really. Not at all.
Your parents were in Hua Hin, no?
Yeah, so over this, my family story with Thailand is interesting too. So I came, then my brother came, and then my mum, stepdad came, and then they left. And I'm here now with my brother. Yeah.
What were they doing? You're traveling so much. Is this like army related or teaching related?
No, so my dad was in the United Nations.
Okay.
So he was working in redevelopment, post-conflict redevelopment. So we always went to these really interesting places. And a lot of it was in Africa, so Zambia, Zimbabwe, and then South Africa.
Yeah, at that young age, are you able to even understand what's going on, where you're at?
Not at that age, right? And it actually comes up later. It might have something to do with my story in the future, but it's an interesting thing not being rooted when you're a child and going to these different cultures and experiencing things that most people who stay in one place don't experience.
Did you find it easy to meet friends as you transition and get boots on the ground? I mean, I'm assuming a lot of military families, these children probably experience the same thing.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say for myself, my experience, looking back, I didn't make friends very easily. So I always felt out of place wherever I went. But you do develop this ability to, I guess, create a character in these different places. And then it's amazing because you experience so many cultures and you can take from those cultures what you want and leave parts of it. So as an adult, it's been a blessing rather than a curse when I was younger.
What do you mean create a character? And like, are you a different person in each country? Are you kind of taking on a different persona?
Yeah, I think you evolve because cultures and countries are so different, right? And in order to fit in, I guess at that age you want to fit in. Everyone wants to fit in, right? So you take some of the culture, some of the belief systems, and make it part of your identity.
Were you in like these international communities, or were you kind of integrated with the locals?
I was very much integrated with the locals.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
the challenge. It's everyone's
Yeah.
going to be complete. You're the black sheep or a sheep
Exactly.
arriving everywhere.
Yeah. So, especially at that time, so what I'm 30, 35 now. At that time, the international schools were not as that market has grown hugely in the last 5 to 10 years, right? Because everyone's moving around more. But at that time, it wasn't as common, right? So I was myself and my brother were probably one of 4 people in my year group who were not from South Africa. Or
Plus,
from these
you're
countries.
twins as well.
Yeah,
so
I'm a twin.
You're arriving. I mean, at least you have someone that you're able to bounce stuff off of, and I mean, you have a friend immediately.
Yeah, well, we went through all of this together. So yeah, it's a good thing to have.
Yeah. Well, now you're arriving in Thailand. Where did you initially arrive when you came here?
So I arrived in Phuket, Decondo Katu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What year was that?
Shit. I gotta think. It's about 11 years ago.
Okay, so
What would that be?
2015-ish.
Yeah, something like that. And then I met my neighbor who was a South African, funnily enough. And I guess from that moment on, we pretty much went to Patong every night for 3 months. Because I was, 23, 24 years old. And when you first go there, you're like, oh, shit, I'm a handsome man.
But Patong back then was on the island. It was pretty much the only place we could go to. Like there was no development. There was no Bangtao Pig Beach with bars.
Yeah,
like,
that's
Patong
true.
was the only spot.
Yeah.
Now, when you're going out at that young age, and even before that transition coming into Thailand, did you have a plan, a budget in mind? Like, how are you gonna keep it all together?
As an interesting, I guess it kind of led me into teaching. So I came with some savings, and they lasted about 3 months. And I was like, oh shit, what am I gonna do now? So at that time, I decided to do a TEFL course and get into teaching. And that started this journey into, I guess, 10 years later working in international schools.
What was the first school you got into?
The first one was in Phuket town. It was a local Thai school. That was mental, man. 40, 50 kids, nursery kids in one class. And that was, I wouldn't classify it as teaching, more babysitting and entertainment.
Yeah, and at that time, those salaries, especially at like these Thai schools, I mean, you're probably dealing somewhere around 40,000 baht a month.
Less, man. 25,000 baht a month. Yeah.
But back then, 10 years ago, it was just manageable.
You could get by.
You could get by.
And actually, I don't know how I did as much as I did with that budget.
Yeah, I mean, you're budgeting your meals, and you know how many Leos you can drink. I mean, it's very well
sang songs at that time.
It's very well managed. Explain that process, because I think even before we get the transformation of what you're doing now and getting out of teaching English,
Sure.
there's probably many English teachers watching this right now, and they're going to hear the story, and they're going to blow their brains out, because to get to the position where you got at BIS is almost near impossible without a master's degree. So let's connect those dots. You're going from a Thai school. Where did you go next? How did you actually end up getting a job at BIS?
Sure. That's a good question. Long journey as well. So I started in this Thai school, got my TEFL certificate, and then I couldn't handle 50 kids. It was a lot of energy. And I started looking for other jobs. And luckily, so in Phuket, you've got different tiers of schools, right? And you have these smaller schools that say they're international schools.
Like your Khao Jung Kiets?
No, smaller than that. Yeah. And they... I won't say the name of the school because it didn't end well, but they hired me with my TEFL course, and they're basically selling this, and it's very common in Thailand. They're selling the international school name, but they're hiring TEFL teachers. But I think part of my personality is I like to do things well, so I tried my best to provide an education beyond what TEFL teaches you to do. TEFL teaches you grammar, reteaches you grammar, and then very basic teaching principles. Anyway, I got into this school. I lasted about six months and had a falling out with the owner because he was just a psychopath. Ended up throwing my work permit at him and leaving again without a plan. And then I applied to Kajonkiat International School. And in some stroke of luck, literally the day after I applied, they phoned me for an interview. So I went there.
At BIS?
No, KIS. Kajonkiat International School.
Okay.
Also a great school. I think because I'd studied on top of my TEFL, I kind of understood teaching. So I went there, did the interview, smashed the interview, and got offered this role as a EAL teacher. So it was called ESL back in the day. And you basically teach all the second language students English in order for them to access the curriculum. So I got that job, and I think 6 months into it, they asked me to be the head of ESL. So I agreed on that, and then at that point, probably a year or two into that, I started to think about where I'm going next. And the thing is, if you want to be in these bigger international schools like BIS, UWC, you need to have a teaching degree, right? And like you said, a lot of those teachers have master's degrees. So I did my research and ended up doing a PGCEI, which is a postgraduate certificate in education, but the international version. So what you don't get with this, and this is very important for prospective teachers, is you don't get a QTS, which is a qualified teacher status from the UK or any equivalent in other Western countries. If you don't have that, it's still very hard to get a job in big international schools. So anyway, got this job, and then I started studying the PGCEI. And at that point, I started learning more about teaching practices. And teaching's deep, man. There's a lot of theory behind it, and it's well worth doing that sort of degree over a TEFL. So I completed that, and then worked for another...
How long did that take to complete that?
Yeah, it took a year. So you have to have a degree already.
And now, is that a year of every day you're studying? There's testing, or is it kind of part-time?
You need to do at least 20 hours a week, I would say, to do it well. Yeah, so I was working and then studying. And then you basically do these assignments every few months. And you can focus on whatever. I focused on English as an additional language for my writings, articles. So I got that, and then there's this kind of transition period. So Kajonkiat International School is a great school, and they've grown a lot recently as well. And then I knew that in order to increase the salary, so let's say I went from 25,000 to about 35,000 to 60,000. Then I got the degree, and then I went to about 77,000 baht. But if you want to make really good money in teaching, you need to get to these higher tier schools. So what I did is I tried to get my foot in the door at BIS as soon as I realized I wanted to work there. It was a dream. Like I really wanted it. So I started emailing my CV every year and tried to get into their summer camp. So at that point, they hired me to be the head of EAL at their summer camp. And for the next 2 years, I was working there for their summer camp. And I started to get to know everyone in the school, especially the admin staff. And every year I'd send my CV to try get in. And every year I'd get rejected because I didn't have enough experience. I wasn't from the UK, all of this. So then I made the really big decision to leave Kajonkiat, which was a very comfortable job for me, and leave Thailand. And I went to Dubai. So I applied for all these international schools in Dubai and ended up at the Swiss Scientific School of Dubai as head of EAL. And there I kind of headed up a department, had a great team there, and the next step was getting back to Thailand. So within a year, I realized that the type of lifestyle in Dubai didn't suit me, and I decided to leave. And at that point, now I had got this experience outside of Thailand and applied for BIS. I'd had 2 or 3 years experience in summer school, and then they gave me the job, which was great.
So that took almost, you said like 6 years of really trying to get into this. Which year did you finally get that job?
That would have been about 5 years ago, 2020.
And you then you would
2019.
you basically
actually.
did that for about 4 years.
BIS?
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 years.
4 years. What are the differences, if you're able to discuss, in salary? So your KI or your at Kajong Kiet, you kind of peak at 77. It's
Yeah.
a bit of a challenge to get higher than that.
Yeah, that's it.
Unless maybe you're a principal or something.
Yeah.
From there, getting into this BIS, into your position, how does the salary change?
Yeah, so there's a huge jump in salary. And not just the salary, but the benefits that they provide for you. So salary, I mean, it depends on how many years experience you have from the date that you get your teaching qualification. So I'd done, 6 years of teaching, but only 3 of those years had been post-qualification. And that's when that's when my experience started. So salary went up. I can't say exact numbers because they change. There's a scale, but it went up well past 100K. And then you get amazing insurance and housing allowance. So overall, the package is worth probably 150,000 baht.
Yeah, I think people, if you're looking to come to Thailand, the biggest cost here that they don't tell you about is good health insurance.
Oh, yeah.
I would say if you're over, let's say 25 to age 30, if you want good health insurance purchased in Thailand with an AIS, you're looking 40 to 60,000 baht.
Yeah, I'm paying 45 now.
Yeah.
So that after leaving teaching, I've realized the difficulties of living in Thailand. Insurance is one of those things.
Insurance, work permits, visas.
There we go, yeah.
You're looking, I would say insurance, work permits, visas on your own per year. Let's call it 150.
Yeah, that's what I had in mind. Yeah.
And you need agents. We won't discuss that.
No, we're not going into that.
So that's why a lot of people out there, they're, these English teachers that are in Thailand in these similar positions, they're probably pulling their hair out now, because we're going to discuss that part of the story of giving it all up after getting there, because that is the dream. This is pretty much peak salary as a teacher, especially in that type of position, English teacher in Thailand, in a BIS or a UWC, on salary you could potentially be making. Plus you can do tutoring outside and whatnot. But there's not much more of a ceiling from there unless you're getting more experience or jumping into some sort of administrative principal type of role.
So the salary scale is nice. Once you've been teaching for 15 years, you're making a lot of money at these schools. A lot of money.
Like almost 200 with benefits.
Yeah, and then Bangkok, even higher. You get 250K in Bangkok.
But these places, like I think Bangkok would make a little bit more sense, because living in Phuket, the cost of living is so high here now.
Sure, especially now.
I mean, you need, in Phuket to live comfortably, you need to be making at least 100,000. Just because the rent is going up exponentially since COVID. And I would say, like, let's call it pre-COVID, pre-2018. Yeah, you could live here under 70,000, under 50,000 pretty comfortably. Now it's not the case anymore.
Yeah, unless you go super local with everything. Like, you can get local houses still 10, 15,000 baht.
But it's a challenge, like, when you want to go to dinners, because you're gonna join a community and people want to go eat at the nicer places, and easily you could be spending 2,000-3,000 baht a meal.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not so easy just to eat Thai every single day, just because of that Western community you're going to get involved in. So now you're working at BIS for almost 5 years, 4.5, 5 years. Everything's going great. Career-wise, everything's going great. Walk us through that transition. What made you leave that and get into this passion project that you're doing now? What was going on in your life?
Yeah. That's a complex question, because there's many things in this whole journey that have led up to this transformation. So let me start with kind of where my lifestyle was at with this.
And I think, and just before we get into that, to explain to the audience as well, it's not just your transition and transformation, getting maybe from a place that you didn't want to be into this, like where you wanted to be, this passion project, because that also transfers into what you're doing and providing transformation for people in the fitness world looking to completely transform their life. So all this story, it's very well connected because you went through it personally and had to kind of figure it out on your own. So we'll jump back into that, explaining a little bit this transition, leaving that dream job that took you 6 years to get and getting into what you really wanted to do. Explain that whole story and process.
Yeah, so I got that job, right? And I'm working in this school, making good money. I had a house next to the beach in Bang Tao, close next to Bang Tao gym. I had a wife, I had 3 cats, a nice swimming pool, big 4-bedroom villa, and nothing changed internally. And it's a tough one to describe. Give me a sec. So I had everything externally that I wanted, right? And I still felt this sense of not being enough, not having enough. And at that point, I was able to buy a nice motorbike, go on holidays. Obviously, as a school teacher, you're getting paid well and you get long holidays. So it's great. But I was also very unhappy inside. And I suffered throughout this, actually from the age of about 18. It started with IBS, so irritable bowel syndrome, stress.
Almost like Crohn's disease. Similar.
Yeah, similar. But it at times in my life, it was almost debilitating. Like I'd get this pain that took me to hospital so many times. And I was quite comfortable to say, right, I was a bit of a, even as a teacher, I can say it now, that I was a stoner. So I used to smoke weed all the time, used to play video games for 4 or 5 hours a night. And then, I wasn't very happy inside. I didn't have a sense of purpose. Although teaching is purposeful, you kind of get bogged down by all of the admin and the drama that happens within schools and between teachers. Politics. It's mad.
It's like you're a teacher, but you're still in high school.
Yeah, exactly. And so I end up not feeling very happy, and all of these things ended up coming out through a lot of depression and anxiety. And the biggest thing was health anxiety. So I developed this really strong belief that I was sick, like I had cancer, and I would literally check my body. Not many people know this, hundreds of times a day. And I'd end up, the mind is so powerful, I'd end up getting the symptoms of these things and go down the self-diagnosis route on
like
Google.
A hypochondriac.
Dude, it was mad. And also was not in a very happy relationship looking back now. And I'd been through cycles of bad relationships. So, that's where I was at. I was very unhappy. I was distracting myself a lot with weed, video games, and food. So let's say quite a few years ago now, I was about 97 kgs.
Well, I'm 103, so thanks.
Yeah, different build. I was 97 kgs with about 38% body fat, not much muscle, and I would actually get motivated to train. So I'd go to the gym, I'd get super motivated, be strict with my food, and then I'd either get injured or I would just lose motivation and slowly go back to those old patterns of behaviors. So smoking, drinking, all of that.
Yeah, I mean, when I first met you, I think you were in shape. You were coming out of that.
I was somewhere in the middle. So,
because I remember you posted you were like out of shape, and then by the time I met you, you're in some.
Yeah, but then
you were A shape.
I was a better shape, but then I put it back on again.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's really common, right, that people yo-yo, and the reason I don't yo-yo now is because there are things you can do to stop yo-yoing, but it takes a lot of work. So I was very unhappy, and then I ended up. Everyone has this kind of sense of their own suffering, right? And everyone. And I ended up getting divorced, and that was a kind of pivotal moment. Like many people have these moments where it's so powerful that it creates change. And I got divorced, probably the hardest time of my life. I moved into a 2-bedroom, very small local 2-bedroom house from this 4-bedroom villa with a swimming pool, my cats, my ex-wife next to the beach, to a 2-bedroom local house with my brother, his 2 kids, and his ex-wife now, and stayed there for about a week, completely broken, and didn't know what to do with myself. I basically had lost my whole sense of who I was, right? Because I'd been in this relationship for 8 years. I wasn't happy with myself or my job, and that week was very difficult, but it was the week that I finally decided to, I said, no matter what, I'm never going to feel like this again. And that's where the new journey began.
What were the first steps you had to take? I mean, you're starting at ground zero. You have to figure out a plan.
Yeah. So the first plan was, actually, I went down the YouTube route of David Goggins and just got super motivated. Again, that time it was motivation to change. And I also started learning about grief, because when you go through a divorce, you've lost someone in your life, right? And that person was very close to you for a long period of time, and you've lost them. So I went through the kind of stages of grief, and I started learning ways to deal with grief, and I practiced them. And at some point I was ready to go out into the world again. So I remember the first thing I did was actually contact a random person. Her name is Tina, Bodhi Dog Shelter. I was like, fuck, I'm just going to go and help someone. So I went to her house and helped her with some dogs and went for a walk. And at that time, it was quite a big step for me, even though it may not seem like a big step. Yeah. And then from that, kind of momentum started to build, this kind of change. But I didn't know how long it would take to get to where I am now and what would happen in between.
Yeah, that process, you're still teaching at BIS. You
Yeah.
haven't fully committed to the entire career change.
Not at all.
So at which point did you decide, okay, now this has to become not just a lifestyle, but a career path?
Yeah, good question. So at that point, I started getting out. I started dealing with the inner demons. I actually joined a group for people who had recently been divorced, and I ended up having like phone calls with these other people who were going through the same thing. And it's really helpful to share and know that you're not going through it alone. And then I think the first thing that really helped was starting my fitness regime, right? So I would end up I started setting myself goals. So I was like, I'm going to do a Spartan race. I'm going to go to the gym however many times a week. I'm going to start a running program. So that's what I did. And I continued doing that. And through this process, I started losing weight. Obviously, you feel better when you're training. And I was working on internally as well. And I just started feeling better, more confident. And then these puzzle pieces started to kind of connect. So there's a lot of internal work, which we might go into soon, and the physical side of it. And then I went to a gym in Blue Tree called Optimize. Actually, this is a nice story. I met Kate, who's a PT at Optimize, for breakfast. And actually, interestingly, I in terms of dating, so I'd been divorced, a few months had gone by, and I dated a few women and started to actually set boundaries with the people I was spending time with, which is quite an important thing for me now. But I ended up meeting Kate, who had a similar perspective on life that I had at that time. And she invited me to train at her gym, Optimize, with Darren and his team. So I started training there. And throughout that process, Darren asked me to do his PT course. So I was like, okay.
To become a PT.
Yeah, to become a PT. And so I said, okay, I'll do it. And actually, I need to go back. I actually quit my job at BIS before any of this.
So
I handed in my resignation before I knew anything.
no plan in mind.
No,
Okay,
no,
let's
no.
let's touch on that
I need to go
because
back.
I think that part of the story a lot of people struggle with because this isn't just relative to living in Thailand and Phuket. This could be anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
How do you make the decision to just quit a job? I mean, you need an income. You're not in your home country. You can't
Yeah.
just go live with your parents.
Yeah.
You need some sort of savings.
Sure.
Explain how that even came up. You know what? I think it's time that I quit everything and just go on my own.
Yeah. So originally, I was in the fitness stuff and I was changing a lot. And I decided I wanted to be a trainer, but I didn't have a job prospect. So what I did is I just forced myself into a situation where I had to make it work. And there was a bit of intuition involved in this. I had a very deep gut feeling that this was the right way for me to go. So I quit my job, handed in my resignation without knowing what I was going to do next. But then I did apply for the NASM PT course, which is it's an American qualification, National Association of Sports Medicine. It's probably the gold standard in personal training courses. But yeah, and my original plan was to be a freelance PT. That's what it was. But then we go back to meeting Darren and Kate at Optimize. So,
But as you're quitting your job at BIS, you're saving up maybe 3 months to be able to live here.
More than 3 months. So I had a plan. That's the first time I understood the importance of planning. So I'd never been good with money, but I knew that I had to save enough to pay for my studies and save enough to live for, let's say, 3 to 6 months in Thailand without an income. So I made a plan to save, and I did save for the first time in my life, and then invested in this PT course. Then I met Darren and Kate, started training there, and a few months in, Darren's just like, I want you to be my general manager. And he just gave me this opportunity. So it took me a year where I was working full-time as a teacher, training myself. Every Saturday and Sunday I go to Optimize, and then I was studying every day.
This is all after the divorce.
Yeah, all after the divorce. So yeah, that's where this change started. And then I left my job and I had a job now. So I got into this job manager role at Optimize and started coaching.
Now, this transformation, you guys are building out these programs as well.
Yeah.
How much of your own experience went into the development of those programs?
So it's amazing that obviously I had my personal experience of change, but then throughout this process, I did a bunch of courses and in person with Darren and Kate on how to actually implement effective, sustainable changes. And then I was able to relate that theory, like some of it's habit forming theory or nutrition, sleep, all of these kind of foundations of health. I was able to relate these strategies to what I'd done. So I'd lived it, right? And then I'd understood the theory. And the amazing thing is you never stop learning. Once you go down this path of health and you change your identity, this is a really key thing, I think, that I taught to with my clients about, is that if you really want sustainable change, you have to change your identity. You have to become a different person.
You have to kill the old self.
Yeah. It's cliche. People say that, but it's so true. But there's a way to do it, which I wish I had known before, because I kind of stumbled my way through blindly. But there is a way to do it, and it's effective.
Yeah, you're doing this entire transformation, not just for yourself personally, also on the career side. At which point did you feel maybe were the demons killed? Were they at bay? Internally, have you overcome what may have been causing these problems in the past?
Yeah, so that goes quite deep, because there's so many layers to a human, right? We're quite messy creatures. So I've dealt with a lot of layers, but I know that the work doesn't stop. You continue to deal with it, depending on what feedback you get from yourself. So there's one saying that I use a lot, is there's no failure, only feedback. So anything you're feeling inside, or physically. It's just your body and mind giving you feedback about something that you're doing, an action that you're taking, or actions over time. So it's never done, but I've been through the kind of healing process with the inner child. I've tried loads of different methodologies with amazing people, including a psychedelic experience with a guide. That was probably the deepest change that I had. I really went deep and uncovered some stuff. But yeah, you never stop. It's an interesting thing, because all of those things is kind of the duality of living a human existence. Is you can't feel the kind of joy without having felt the pain, because then that joy wouldn't be very powerful, right?
Yeah, you don't know the benchmark.
Yeah, so another thing that I found, even sitting here in this moment, is that there's a flow to life. Everything that's happened leads you to the present moment. But the trick is to not let the past guide your future, if that makes sense. When I was in my depressions and anxiety, I was using my past experiences and then worrying about the future.
Was it like a feeling of, let's say, imposter syndrome, lack of confidence, lack of self-worth?
Yeah.
And obviously going deeper, and a lot of people probably share similar experiences.
Yeah.
How were you able to determine the root cause? Is that something you even share with publicly? Because these are the symptoms. The symptoms is lack of confidence. But what is the cause? What is the root issue? Or is that just something very deep?
I mean, I'm very comfortable with this. It was very deep. So as a child, and this is very common, right? Parents get divorced, and then the mother or the father leaves. And that was part of the kind of issues I had with relationships. And then going back to my story of moving countries all the time, never feeling like I belonged, all of these things, especially when you're young, kind of create these images of who you are, right? Your identity. So what's the question?
No, so I mean, these are the cause, the symptoms are lack of confidence, lack of self-worth. Yeah. But the root problems, the root cause is this stuff that was happening in your past. Yeah. And once 100%. You've addressed that, you're able to, what is the issue, you're able to address that. I think a lot of people might get a little bit lost more on like, okay, I've addressed the problem. The problem was I'm moving around, I don't feel I belong. Yeah. How do you fix those problems? What steps do you take to address that now?
Yeah, that's a good point. So, what actually happened is a lot of men too, we suppress our emotions, right? We don't want to feel anger, sadness, whatever it might be. And instead of using my kind of logical mind to make sense of it all, it actually ended up being a release. So I sat in those emotions and practiced sitting in them and then releasing. So when I believe, and a lot of people believe, that you store emotion in the body, right? Some people it's in the hips or the neck or whatever it might be, in the stomach. The gut is a powerful one, right? So all of these kind of symptoms, again, feedback in the body, tightness in my hips, problems with my digestion and stomach. And the amazing thing is that when I started focusing on healing, all of these things started to slowly disappear. I used to suffer from migraines, the IBS, constant injury. And when you're living in a world of stress, whether it's emotional, physical, or mental, you're going to be tight, right? And it's about release.
Yeah, these feelings, like if you were to go back before getting divorced and you're smoking weed, and from that leads to video games, leads to shitty diet. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy were you at your worst point?
Oh, dude, -2.
Okay. And obviously these things internally don't always just disappear. You need to address them all the time, to sit in that emotion is what I'm hearing. On today, you're in a more of a passion project. You're doing something that you can get behind. You're not just working a 9 to 5, you're living this. This is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Are you exponentially more happy now, or are you still dealing with these emotions?
So now I feel these emotions, right? Like anger, sadness, they're not negative emotions, but when they become the only emotions that you feel, and you're always stressed, always angry, always sad, whatever it might be, then you kind of, I mean, physiologically, you've got cortisol, chronically high cortisol levels, right? And so, yeah, now I happily feel, not happily, I feel sadness and anger or whatever it might be, but I'm able to, I feel them in a healthy way. So obviously if you have a pet, your pet's going to die, right? This is quite sad, but you have family members who you lose, people come in and out of your life, and sad things happen. Things that make you angry happen, but it's how you experience those emotions that makes the difference.
How have you brought this concept, this protocol you're going through now, how has that transferred into what you're doing in your day-to-day at Optimize and these transformation programs you guys are building out?
Sure. So we kind of look at, there's a few things that I do now. So obviously there's a need to make money, right? But I wanted to do it with purpose and passion. And I wanted to have time to myself. I didn't want to be under someone's stopwatch. Okay, you're in here at 7:30, you leave at 4:30. And Optimize is an amazing place where we kind of respect each other's. And a lot of big companies do this, right? You have a job to do, and if you do it in your own time, when you can, if you need to relax, you go relax. But we've developed this framework for change. We call it deep health, because we don't just focus on the physical. So in our methodology, we have, and I coach online as well, so I help people transform from afar. And we focus on mental, emotional, and physical health, as well as developing some sort of sense of purpose in life. And for us, that balance between all factors of health create a better experience of life and a more fulfilling life where you can reach your potential.
But you're also bringing in the whole concept of diet as well with Kate's Kitchen.
Yeah.
At which point did you guys start? And if anyone, obviously they're probably not aware of this, it's a meal, essentially meal plans, Monday to Friday through Kate's Kitchen, which it's difficult to find healthy food, especially in Phuket in this area. There's some options here and there. When you've built out this entire diet plan and business model of Kate's Kitchen, offering meal plans, you figured it out mentally, emotionally, and physically. Now you've brought the diet into the equation. When did that all come together?
Yeah, so about a year ago. So my partner Kate is a very talented cook, and for me, food was a big one. So I used to eat emotionally. I used to eat kind of all processed food, order from most of the local places. And if I wasn't doing that and I was on one of my health trips, I would order meal prep. There's some good companies here. But for us, the key to eating well is the quality of the food you're getting, and that you need to enjoy it. So most of these kind of typical, if you think about meal prep companies, the kind of chicken, broccoli, and rice, maybe it's teriyaki chicken, or whatever it is, you kind of get bored of it in the end. And one of the biggest things about sustainable change is that you have to enjoy what you're doing. You can create that enjoyment over time, like with exercise. Most people hate it in the beginning, and then they learn to love it for various reasons. But with the food, we wanted to create something that's delicious and healthy. So what we've done is we've sourced all of these ingredients, which are organic, locally produced, and we've created these meals from all over the world. So we've got Mexican, Mediterranean, Thai, Indian, and it's actually tasty.
Yeah, and every day, because I actually did the meal plan for a month, and then I'm moving, so everything's a bit of a mess, and I need to eat filthy cheeseburgers through this month, and I'm going to go mental. But everything is very different every day. There's a different flavor, a different taste.
Yeah,
and I saw recently you guys have created the like kind of bento boxes where you've separated stuff as well.
Yeah, so we've gone. This is a great example of actually our business and how it's evolved. Is a great example of how I guess I've evolved as well, because I tried to start so many businesses, and as you know, right, businesses are not easy to become successful, right? And most people give up somewhere in the middle where it doesn't seem like it's working. And we've learned this kind of resilience where, again, like I said before, there's no failure, just feedback. So what we're doing is we're just improving. Whenever we get feedback, we try and improve it. Whenever we feel like something is not right, like for example, we had all this plastic bento boxes, right? And we've just found a supplier of 100% decomposable food packaging, and we've hired someone to source the best ingredients possible. And it's hard to run a business. It's really hard. And this idea of having my own time after teaching, like after finishing that career, was a bit idealistic, because when you do want to start a business and make it successful, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I was going to say the idea of someone saying, I don't want to work for anyone else because I want to work for myself, so I choose my hours.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
At least in the first, like at the beginning, it's...
Yeah.
When I started mine, I was probably working 20 hours a day for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
What happens is you're always just putting out fires.
Yeah.
And something else is coming up, and and when it's your own company, you can't just say I'll do it tomorrow. Otherwise, tomorrow you have 50 new things.
Yeah. Now we've got I think 7 employees working for us, so it's not just us anymore. It's we started in an apartment for 5 people, and we built it to about 60 boxes a day now, and it keeps growing. So we have 7 employees, and it's all about systems now. You want to put the systems in place to automate as much as possible, and that's where we're at, and collaborations with local companies.
Yeah, I think even myself, again, it's not like sponsorship or anything like that, just talking about taking it, it helped a lot to avoid ordering ship food at lunch.
Yeah.
By committing to a month.
Yeah.
And then the food is coming, and it's coming It's coming once a day, and it gives you lunch and dinner, which is pretty much all we eat in Thailand anyways. I'm not a breakfast eater. Yeah. But you knew that by dinner time you had the food there, and I would avoid, ordering something bad like KFC or Burger King.
I mean, you just go on Grab right now and scroll through the meals.
This is the issue with Grab in this specific area. Bangkok's a lot better.
Yeah.
But this area, right away, it's going to pop up like pizza, burgers, KFC, all the bad food pops up. And then you have Thai food, but I mean, Thai food's not that good for you. And it's very low in protein, Thai food.
So that's where our meals are a winner, right? We make sure that you have at least 40 grams of protein in each meal. But not just that, we try and create meals that have all of your micronutrients as well. So there's the big difference between what we do and other companies, is that we plan for micronutrients, for optimal health, right? So there's a lot of colors, and then all of our carb sources are unprocessed whole foods.
Yeah, the sauces they're all homemade.
Yeah.
And there is that variety, like you're putting beetroot in it. There's like so many different ingredients that you don't get bored.
Yeah.
Most of it is quite simple. The issue is if you made it at home, the amount of ingredients you would need to purchase.
It's deceivingly simple.
You would have your refrigerator would be absolutely packed.
We counted, we did an averaging, and on average, each box has about 35 ingredients. Even the sauce is going to have about 10. It makes our kitchen back end pretty difficult, and our inventory management. But there's one of the systems we're working on now.
Over at Optimize, you're offering these different levels of packages.
Yeah.
When I was first there, I think this was still being massaged out and about to be launched.
Yeah.
Is this officially launched now?
Yeah. So we've
And
Officially
I think
launched them.
we'll just chat a little bit about that. So Optimize is over at Blue Tree.
Correct.
What you guys are offering is completely different than most gyms and even PT gyms around the island. It's a very structured program, not just physically, but also data driven.
Yeah.
And there is the whole mental side of the coaching. Can you explain how this program, not only how was it built, but what could people expect from it?
Yeah. So the program's built by us as a team at Optimize, and as well as my online coaching, which is a similar program. And the concept, the concept here, right, is that there's a unique market for people who truly want to change, right? And I kind of alluded to it earlier, is that in order for a sustainable change, you need to form a new identity. And your identity is simply a sum of all the actions that you take, and the way you live your life, lifestyle, habits, whatever it might be. And we've developed this program, TAO, Transformation and Optimize, with varying entry points, where we're able to use everything as a team we've developed to help people change. So it's very different to a commercial gym where you pay your monthly fee, you go for 3 months and then you might stop. We ask people, the first thing to do is to create this vision of who you want to be, right? And then you ask yourself, what does that person do every day? And you might come up with a list of 10 things, right? All you need to do is pick one of those things and start. So it might be, a lot of people's entry point is starting to train at the gym, right? And then we have this framework of different aspects of mental, emotional, physical, and purposeful health. And over time, you start making small, manageable changes, and then you start building momentum. And it takes a long time to change. I would say at least 6 months to a year in my experience. And I've helped a lot of people do it online, and as a new program in Optimize, we have a few clients doing it now.
Yeah, and everything is quite custom based on the client, so you're able to assess. Maybe I've had a knee injury.
Sure.
When we're building up these training programs, make sure we're focusing on other parts. So again, it is one-on-one.
Yeah. Every aspect of this transformation program is completely personalized. Because as humans, right, we all have our own experiences, our own life stories, our own messy lives, whether it's, we all have different priorities. Some people have kids, some people run big businesses. So some people already sleep well, but they don't drink enough water. Some people already train, but maybe haven't been training effectively. Whatever it might be, we have this process to identify where we want to change. A lot of reflective tools, a lot of kind of guided sessions where we identify steps for the next week. And then at the end of the week, we review, and then we set new targets for the next week.
Yeah, again, it is very customized to each individual to be sure that it's going to work for them as well, because the worst thing you could have, people, you don't want them getting lost or bored in some sort of routine. They need to constantly feel that diversification and change as well.
Yeah, and it's going back to motivation as well, because I'm sure a lot of people have been motivated to lose weight, get healthy, whatever it might be. But in the long term, motivation is fleeting. That's what leads to this yo-yo effect. So when we have our own messy lives and life gets messy sometimes, that stuff kind of falls to the wayside, and you're back to being stressed or whatever. These habits that you use to deal with this stress, they come back. So what we do is we this kind of goes into the neuroscience and hormonal effects of what we do. So I'm sure most people know that habits are just neural pathways, right? So you get these kind of cues, which are usually kind of contextual, right? So let's say, I'll give you my example. When I went home after work, I was feeling stressed. and just walking through the door. The cue is walking through the door, and then the kind of well, I've lost my trail of thought.
Well, with like this neural pathway of fixing these bad habits, I'm
Yeah,
assuming at this point it's coming home from work and possibly
Yeah, so
smoking weed and playing
then-
video games.
Yeah, exactly. So there's this trigger, right? And you're feeling stressed. You've had a long day, and your way to reduce stress is my way was to smoke a joint and play video games, right? In the long term, that's not going to be very good for you, right? And you're just I went further into that hole. So what we do is we look at this kind of habit loop, and we use habit forming theory to change those neural pathways. So you might want to change the cue. You can change your environment, which is what I did. Basically, I created a whole new environment. You might want to change the trigger. And the thing is, if you're feeling stressed, right, there are better ways. You got to look at it as instant gratification versus delayed gratification. So we connect this feeling of stress, and then we smoke a joint or have a beer or watch Netflix or scroll on our phone, whatever it might be, right? And the goal in our course is to find methods that serve you to reduce that stress, that lead to a better version of yourself, a healthier version of yourself, reaching your full potential. So we use strategies to create new habits.
Do you still feel the urge or ever have a trigger of like, okay, maybe I should just smoke weed and play video game one time. Let me see if I can do it.
So no, not at all anymore. But I do have kind of the biggest one for me still is scrolling on social media. I think a lot of people will have this, but the difference is now that I catch myself doing it. And when I catch myself doing it, and if I get any kind of feedback, I'm not feeling very good, or like you said earlier, social media kind of creates a lot of comparison. So my social media is full of fitness and influencers, or whatever you want to call it. And some of it, when I'm scrolling, still will make me feel like an imposter, because I look at these guys, jacked, ripped, whatever it is, and I'm like, oh, I need to be like that if I want to be a good coach. But that's not the reality. The reality is you are who you are, and you provide what you can provide. And my approach is different.
Yeah, it's not easy when you're creating content and in that world you go, you post. That's why I'm starting to work on ways to not be connected to it. I only am connected because I need to do the post.
Yeah.
But as we start to delegate out content distribution, there's ways to get away with it. I've tried using apps before that just block it.
Yeah.
So you can only use it at certain times. But the issue is you got to go and check a message because it's part of the business. So at a certain point, you really need to delegate that stuff, which is definitely a challenge when you're starting a business, because you need certain cash flow to fund those expenses, which you typically don't have when you're beginning a new business.
Yeah, true. You have to prioritize where your money's going, right? So it's definitely a plan for our future to delegate that.
For yourself today, I mean, in conquering those demons or putting them at bay, what is one of the biggest challenges you still face on the daily that that hasn't been completely conquered, let's say?
I guess it's not so much of a challenge anymore, but it's a constant thing that comes up, is the uncertainty of where everything's going. But at this point now, I'm really comfortable in the flow of things, because the more you do these difficult things, so I'd like to differentiate between two types of difficult here. One is kind of difficult, easy, is the things that are difficult that you're used to. So at that time, life was still difficult. I was anxious, depressed, whatever it was, but it was comfortable. I'd smoke weed, distract myself, play video games. And then there's this other kind of, I call it difficult, which is something that's new, that's not easy to do, because it's outside of your comfort zone, right? It's like starting a new business, starting a new career. And sometimes it's something that you wouldn't expect being difficult. So sitting with your emotions, if you haven't done that for 20, 30, 40 years, is difficult. But then you start to get comfortable in doing uncomfortable things. And that's where I'm at now, like doing this podcast.
Yeah. You said,
I was fucking terrified of doing this, man. And
It's pretty easy though, right?
It's pretty easy.
And
nice.
it's good. And like most people that come on, I say, it's great content for later.
Yeah.
It's so long form that you can really chop it up and use it in different ways, pretty much unlimited as well. And it's a great way to also capture your voice for AI later. Because it's such a long, it's such a long piece of audio that you can just load it through and train the AI to talk like you as well.
And I can automate everything.
There we go.
Write a script.
I think some of it doesn't work that well with the AI automation. I'll share one with you I found recently. Yeah. I can't remember I have it on a to-do list, very low priority. But I found an AI automation tool so it can, for example, you're talking, right? We can take that all in English. But I can use a tool to extract the English script, feed it into an AI tool that converts it to Thai. Wow. Then you just need a Thai person to clean it up about 10%.
That's cool.
And then you reload the Thai audio over what you said. But it's so good, this AI, that it aligns the Thai speed to your speaking speed.
Oh, wow.
So now it doesn't make the mouth movement perfect, but you don't want that. But it almost looks perfect because the length of the video needs to match the Thai translation. I've used it before. I'm looking at it. It's cool. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm super interested in. I mean, AI is the future, right?
It's still very early, I think, for like video CG, like video graphics, but like in terms of like typing and creating a whole scene in a movie, which you could, for example, you could create that with like a Grok or a Chat GPT. Give me a scene of me filming this in the backyard. Feed it to an AI video machine. We're not there yet.
But you can get all your thumbnails done now with AI, right? You can get an image of yourself. I think they require a certain amount, and then you upload it, and you can just create thumbnails like that.
Yeah, a lot of these
cool.
designer jobs they're going to be in trouble.
But and I think business automation as well. AI is pretty well set up for that as well at the moment. All these bots that you can use.
Yeah, for chat and whatnot, but it's
early days.
You always want to feel like you're talking to an agent.
It's the cool thing with technology though is that it grows exponentially, right? So now we have AI. It's gonna move even quicker. It's kind of scary.
That's why you got to be a business owner today, I believe. Otherwise, you may be replaced.
Yeah.
Even on this podcast, sorry, he's replaced. No, but we're using the Rodecaster Pro. There's a new device that has come out now where it's a Rodecaster, which is the audio mixer connected to the podcast. Yeah. And we're using a separate Black Magic or Black Dragon switcher. So the cameras are all automated. But now Rodecaster has come up with a new device where it's the mixer for audio and the video mixer in one to switch the cameras. Yeah. So the way that it's working is because the audio's on the mixer, the AI is picking up. You see, I stopped talking, and then if you say something, it switches the camera. Yeah, sure. It's insane. So you'll be able soon, if you have the equipment, to set up a whole podcast and have no one controlling it. Yeah. And it will plug and go. The problem with that I have is you still need someone back there because, like, what if a battery dies or the file says corrupt or something? You need someone at least looking at it. So I don't know if it's completely fixed.
I'm very interested in the idea that AI can help with health and fitness as well. I recently saw, I think it's Grok. Is it Grok? Yeah. That you can upload your bloods, right? And then it's going to be very accurate in analyzing your blood results.
Oh, you could do that on Chat. I've done it on ChatGPT.
Oh, how did it work out?
Yeah, it was amazing. You just go to your blood. Yeah. Take an image of the blood result. Load it to ChatGPT. Explain everything about yourself. It will tell you what supplements to modify, how to change, what's going on. So it can do like a whole like blood work analysis. Yeah, it's probably
more accurate as well because you go to a doctor, and I've had plenty of injuries in the past, and you get 10 different diagnoses. So yeah, I think there's a lot of benefits to AI, but I'm also slightly worried that we're going to lose more of our humanity as it grows.
Yeah, I think a lot of things. I think it's more that we'll become more disconnected. Yeah. We're not really connected.
That's a big part of all of this, right? Is that we become less connected with the people around us, our environment.
It's like I find it's even simple things like WhatsApp. I golf with a lot of guys that are older. Yeah, they have WhatsApp, but they're 70 plus. If you send them more than 2 text messages in a conversation, they'll fucking call you. They'll be like, "Hey, what time are we golfing? 1:30. Are you going to grab a coffee before? That second line, he's called me. He's like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
What's going on? Are you there at 1:30? Yeah, okay. You want to grab some lunch before? Yeah, let's do that. Okay, perfect. Bye.
Done.
I go, why don't you just text? He's like, I don't have time for a text.
Yeah.
And to be honest, them picking, even though the text you think is more efficient, it's not.
Yeah, because there's a lot of deciphering done in a text too, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's some comedy sketches of how people interpret it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you might interpret it, hey, is he pissed? What's going on? Because people go short form, it's more cold.
Yeah.
Okay, it's probably been about an hour.
Already?
Yeah, hour 10.
Jeez.
Yep. Just before we wrap it up, I'm going to pass this big camera here with the lens. When I pass the mic back to you, just look directly into the depth of the soul of your audience down there. Just let everybody know where they can find you, where they can find Optimize, how they find Kate's Kitchen, all these different social ways to connect. We're going to put all those links down in the description. So I'm going to pass it to Alex, and he'll let you know how to find all of that information.
Yeah, okay. So most of our businesses are on Instagram. So if you go to optimize.fit, you'll find the gym. If you go to Alex_optimizefit, you'll find my business for my online coaching. And lastly, Kate's Kitchen Phuket on Instagram.
Yeah, and I highly recommend checking out Optimize. I did it for a month. I would have continued, but I'm moving to Hua Hin, so it's just so much going on this month. We filmed like 20 or 30 episodes.
Yeah, man.
Completely
sad you're leaving, to be honest.
Yeah, because the classes, like, they're more 7:30, 8, and like the only way I could work out is I have to work out at like 5:36.
Yeah.
Otherwise I cannot. I'll never get anything done. But I can vouch for Kate's Kitchen. I used it for a month. I felt a lot of inflammation went down specifically. And I stopped ordering off Grab. The only thing I do on Grab now, if I'm like craving something and I'm not cooking at home, is I'll go to sushi.
Yeah,
to
me too.
be honest,
I still love sushi.
That's the only thing on there where I feel like it's kind of healthy.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to check out Kate's Kitchen, especially to give it a try for a month, to kind of take that feeling of not ordering your KFCs and Taco Bells and all that shit on there. Okay, that's going to wrap up another episode of the Fruiting Body Podcast. Probably later you're going to see us over in Hua Hin. But don't forget to like, subscribe, leave some comments, because I'm sure Alex will come give us a visit up in Hua Hin. So we'll have all those questions from later. So just let us know. Okay, and we are